The topic of this video is how procrastination can help you overcome anxiety and depression and help you build much more confidence. I'll also give some tips which you can use to become much more confident by just mastering the things called procrastination. Now, in the book called Eat That Frog, Brian Tracy mentions a concept of eating a frog. Now, what is frog? Frog is that one small task that you really don't want to do but you have to do. As in, it's so ugly and you are uncomfortable about doing it. You just want to check your phone, you just want to do the next thing, but it's important to you. And since it's important, the more you delay it, the more anxious you become, the more depressed you become. That's why most people are becoming depressed nowadays, because they are addicted to their phones and they keep on procrastinating the tasks that are important to them and keep on neglecting them such that they can neglect it no longer, and then it comes as a flurry of anxiousness, flurry of depression. So what you need to do is, first of all, give priority to the tasks that are important to you, and second of all, do the task that's most ugly to do first of all. This is also the reason why it's important to have a morning ritual. A morning ritual will help you create a structure wherein you can do the most important task at the beginning of the day, so that you have built your confidence for the entire of the remaining day. This is an important attribute to build your confidence and to overcome anxiousness and depression. Now, one important thing that most people forget is that people are wired to complete things. People get a sense of value from completion of task. People get a sense of fulfillment from completion of task. So if you begin a task, it's important you finish it. It doesn't matter what task it is. It can be any task, but you need to finish it. The main thing about procrastination is that, for example, you are preparing for an exam, but you keep on delaying that particular task. I will just watch this video on YouTube and then I'll study for it. So what will happen is that slowly your internal mind or your subconscious mind is getting affected, as in, because it knows that you might not be able to prepare for it as well if you don't go and study right now. That's why it's also important to listen to your internal self. Because if you don't listen to your internal self, you will become anxious. What is your internal self? Your internal self is the real you. Your internal self is the voice that is not affected by other people's opinion, and it's your responsibility to find it. And whenever you get detached from the internal voice, you will always be filled with anxiety and depression. That's the essence of it. You must listen to your heart. Even Steve Jobs listened to his heart, and that's how he founded Apple. So why aren't you listening to your heart? It's important to listen to your heart. If you don't listen to your heart, then who will? It might seem illogical that you, being a logical human being, you being a Homo sapiens, are listening to something so trivial. But this trivialness is important. This trivialness will help you survive. This trivialness will help you reach places that you never thought was possible. In his book Blink, Malcolm Gladwell describes a scenario wherein the lineman was able to decide whether the ball would land outside the court 90% of the time correctly before the ball even landed. So how was it possible? Now we can say that this seems completely illogical. If you cannot see it, how can he say it? But this is how the subconscious mind works, and subconscious mind can see the things that's not available to you. So whenever you feel anxious, you know for real that it's a sign from your subconscious that you're not doing something that you're supposed to be doing. The normal state of a human being, normal state of a mind, is a happy, contented mind. Mind deserves to be happy. Mind deserves to be contented. Mind deserves to be calm and peaceful. That's the normal state. And now we are creating another normal, which is anxious state, and now we are normalizing it. Everybody is anxious. Now what will happen? Everybody will start expecting it. It's normal to be anxious. Don't make anxiety and depression the new normal. A man and a woman deserves to be happy the way they are, and you must accept it. Now whenever you have two tasks that you need to do, and those two tasks feel like equally important, it's important you do the ugliest one. For example, if it's important for me to exercise, and it's also important for me to record videos, I'll do the one that's more difficult to me. I'll do the recording of the video, because for me there is more friction to recording videos. It's easier for me to. For you it might be you choose the exercise one first. So whenever there are two ugly tasks, choose the ugliest one first. Now one other thing that you can use on your journey to overcome procrastination, on your journey to overcome anxiety and depression and build your confidence, confidence is a productivity rule called Pareto's law. Pareto's law basically states that 20% things produce 80% result, and this is applicable everywhere. Even if you go to the shop vendor, 20% of the shop would be selling 80% of them. Even if you check just Amazon.com, that one site is selling 80% of the product all across India. So always 20% thing produce 80% result. If you want to be productive, you have to decide what are the 20% things I can choose to do right now to produce 80% of the result. If you're working at a task at your job, you need to ask yourself, out of all these tasks, out of all of my bucket of tasks, what are the 2 or 3 tasks that I can do right now that will produce the 80% result? And that will help you immensely in your journey to become confident, in your journey to become productive and free of anxiety. The mistake people make is they select the task that produce 20% result. Now 20% tasks are producing 80% result. So similarly 80% tasks are producing 20% result. Now if you choose the 80% task, you are basically producing 20% result, and the efficiency and productivity is not that great. That's why people don't get promoted. They are selecting the tasks that don't add much value. So if you want to progress fast in life, if you want to become successful fast, you need to select the tasks that produce maximum result. And this is the key. This law is the key. I will create another video on the same. If you are interested, just type it in the comments. Another method that you can use to overcome procrastination, to be free of anxiety and depression and become confident, is a method called ABCDE. And this is a simple method. All you have to do is take a piece of paper and write all the tasks that you have to do today, and then label it A to E, or it can go till Z. A being the most important task and E or F being the least important task, and do it in that particular order from A to E. This will help you immensely in gaining clarity as in what you need to do first and what you need to do next. Remember, never get sidelined by doing easy task first on the premise that it will help you gain momentum. Always do the most important task first, because you would have much more energy when you're doing something first, and it will give you much more probability on doing that task first. So always do the most important task first. Now if you really want to do something, for example, if you really want to do that particular task that you have been procrastinating all your life, if you really want to work out and you have been procrastinating for like 2 or 3 days now, and you feel anxious about not doing it, my advice to you is just do it. If not doing a particular task is producing anxiousness to you, your sole responsibility should be to do that particular task, and that task takes utmost importance. Forget about your schedule, forget about everything. That task takes utmost importance. Always remember, your happiness is your priority. No one else will come and make you happy. You have to make yourself happy. That's the role of a man, and I would like to extend it to that's also a role of a woman. You must learn to make yourself happy first, and only then you can make everyone else happy. So take a oath today that you will make yourself happy. As Ayn Rand said, it's a man's responsibility to work towards his own dreams. You should also work towards it. Now if there are repeated tasks that you have to perform every day, for example you have to work out every day, if it's a repetition of tasks, it's fruitful to have a timetable. In The Power of Habit and in the book called Atomic Habits, in both the books there is a description of importance of habit. There is a description of a man whose brain was almost half gone. It got receded so much due to a degenerative disease, but still he was performing as required. Every day he would wake up, do his required duties, go through the entire day and go to sleep. The doctors were baffled. How could it be possible? It was only later found out that the things that he was doing was automated mechanism. So our brain is so powerful, even if it's half gone, it can perform the daily activities. That's what you need to do. You should bring all the tasks that are repetitive into a habitable schedule such that your willpower is not used as much. Remember, willpower is always limited and should be reserved for the most important task for the day. If you don't reserve it for the most important task of the day, you will be using it for the least important task of the day. And least important task produce the least amount of result. You will be anxious. I don't want you to be anxious. I want you to be confident. If you want to become confident, you must follow a schedule. Second thing you could do in your task to overcome procrastination, in task to overcome anxiety, depression, become confident, is consider the consequences. Now when you're scrolling your phone on and on and on without thinking of the consequences, just enjoying it, remember, There are always consequences to every action. Ask yourself the next time you are mindlessly scrolling through your Instagram feed, what are the consequences to my action? Ask yourself, take a minute or two, what are the consequences to my action? Now, when I'm scrolling mindlessly, I would know that I'll never be able to build my company if I keep scrolling to that. That will be scary for me, and I might just put my phone across and just focus on what I really need to do. Make video for you guys, help you guys become less anxious. So it's important to consider the consequences. Unless you consider the consequences, you will not be able to overcome your procrastination, because you will always prioritize things that are not important. Now, one last thing that you can do, and this is not just a tool, this is also an advice, is to practice creative procrastination. As in, not to consider procrastination as necessarily a bad thing, but also to consider it as a tool to help you manage your time better. Now, when you are prioritizing your task from A to E, it's possible that you will be procrastinating some of the tasks to the other day, because if you're doing it correctly, you are doing the tasks that are important to you. And that procrastinating the tasks that are least important to other day is called creative procrastination. And we all do it all the time. We don't even realize it. We just do it for the wrong task. You have to practice creative procrastination for the tasks that are least important. Or you can also do it for day-to-day activity. For example, if it takes you 1 hour to commute to a gym, maybe you just visit gym 3 to 4 days a week. Just practice an extra hour every time you visit. Either way, you would finish your weekly quota of your gym. So that's another way of creative procrastination. So those are some of the points that can help you overcome your procrastination, overcome your anxiety and depression, and become much more confident and productive. Thanks a lot for watching. Comment in the comment section what you thought about this video, and please share your suggestions.